I will invite our esteemed leader, Mary Coughlin, to speak.
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming back from lunch. As anybody who does any speaking knows, this is a tough slot to present at because you're all postprandial, and you'll all, very easily and naturally want to fall asleep, which I will allow you to do because I know it's in the best interest of your health, and I will try really hard not to take it personally. And so this last topic is really about you guys, and really acknowledging the impact of the work that you do on a daily basis, what that impact does to you psychologically and physiologically. So it's about bearing witness, which is really a critical aspect of why we or how we do the work that we do. And I do say in the NICU and beyond because we're bigger than our NICU role. And again, if you remember the day before yesterday when I was talking about silos, we do that in our organizations, but I think often we do that in our life as well, or at least I would do that in my life. I would compartmentalize, the nurse, the mom, the sister, the wife, all these kinds of things, and really try and keep the lines clean, and thinking that would be a really healthy way for me to keep my life organized. But what I ended up really doing was just splattering myself all over the place. And so when I was really faced with difficult situations, whether they were professionally or personally, I didn't have the collective me to really handle it. I would try and do these different strategies, these coping strategies that I thought were really adaptive, but over time what I discovered is that they were actually pretty maladaptive. The expectation that we can be immersed in suffering and loss daily and not be touched by it is as unrealistic as expecting to walk through water without getting wet. And I can only speak from my own discipline, but I really do feel that it's a shared experience across all healthcare professionals, is kind of growing up as a NICU nurse, the recommendations from my colleagues and kind of the unspoken culture was tough it out. Don't let them see you cry. Don't show your emotions. You have a job to do, and just be that stoic person in the moment. And so I bought it. I didn't understand it, but I bought it. Because I remember in nursing school thinking, this is so cool. We're talking about Florence and caring for, the human experience with disease. And I felt like I was going to be a healer. That was what my expectation was. And then when I got hit with reality, it was like, no, there's no healing here. You're a technician, and you have to get these things done. And if you were emotive, you were labeled. There was a negative aspect of that emotion. And I'm going to try and restrict my stories, but I have to tell you this one, okay? So when I was at the Brigham, we had this role, the triage nurse. And so it was a birthing hospital. So the triage nurse had the honor, for me, of attending specific deliveries that were identified, or births, that were identified as high risk. We were a teaching hospital, so there were a lot of things that were categorized as high risk. And but I didn't care because I loved going to the birth of other people. And so I got called to a delivery one day, and I remember it as if it was yesterday. And it was like, I think there was meconium-stained fluid or something, and the baby met criteria for a septic workup. It was a vaginal delivery. So I go down. I didn't need to have anybody with me. It was me by myself. I go downstairs. We were one floor above the labor and delivery, which I don't think European folks call it labor and delivery, but that's what we call it in the U.S., the birthing area. So I go down, and I'm in the room, and I'm trying to be very unobtrusive. So I'm in the corner next to the warming table and just waiting for this person to make their grand entrance. And I can feel the tears coming up behind me. And the family is around the mom. And of course, the OB people are doing their thing here. And they're all, push, push, and there's love splattering all over the room. You could just feel it. And so, and you know how you don't know when somebody's going to be born exactly, right? So they call you early for a vaginal delivery, which I also love. So I'm over in the corner, and I'm holding onto the side of the warming table. And the next thing you know, I am saying, push, push, quietly, because I knew they don't know me and they're going to think I'm crazy. But I got caught up so much in the magic, I think that's what it is, the magic of that experience. So by the time the baby is born, I felt like an auntie. I really did. The baby is born, everyone's crying, I'm crying. They bring the baby to me, because this is what we do, the crazy people that we are. They give the baby to me. You see the mother's face and the father's face just kind of doing this. Oh, it was heartbreaking. So, but it's the process. So, OB, boom, flies the baby, boom. And so I'm looking at everybody, and I'm now an auntie. So I grab the blanket, and I just brought the baby back over. And they're, loving on the baby. And, I could have done it better. I could have done skin to skin, but I just wanted them to be together. And so to make a long story even longer, which I'm really good at doing, I take the baby, wrap this little person up, put him in a little cribby, and take him on the ride up to the 6th floor because the baby needs a septic workup. But I'm on the elevator, and I am just covered in joy. My eyes are all sparkling, and I'm just overwhelmed that, and if you've been to a delivery, I think for you guys, but I can tell for myself, it's magical. I could go to these all day long. If that was my full-time job, I would be the happiest person on the planet. So I come up to the NICU, and the way it's set up, you got to go through the double doors, past Zelda, who's kind of surly, and I want to cover her with love and caring to make her less surly, but I've got the baby, and my eyes are glistening. And as I come in, a couple of my colleagues look at me, and you could just see, not a lot of verbal stuff, they're kind of like this. Who put her on triage? As I'm walking past them, just, so wonderful. And this happened a long time ago, but I remember in the moment that I felt bad for them. Not a pity thing, but I just felt like, how could you not get all excited about this moment? And it was a conscious decision when that happened to me that I thought, I never want to not feel this way. But as the work that we do unfolds, right, it's not just about the joy. There are certainly joyous moments in the work that we do, but there's also a lot of sadness. And that was really what helped me make a transition to the next step in my journey, my professional journey, is I had to leave. People dying, all that sad stuff. Oh gosh, I'm really sorry. It just got to me, and I had to go on because I had to just, preserve myself. So sharing this topic with you has personal significance for me, and I don't want to make you cry either, okay? So I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. But I think that there's really there's an important message here that I know I'm not the only person that was suffering like that. I know I'm not. I know there's different shades of suffering that everybody in this room and your colleagues are experiencing in the process of the work that you do. And my encouragement is to honor that, and we have to care for each other and care for ourselves. I'm now closing, but I think the call to action is, you've heard a lot of information. I hope not only has it touched your mind, but I hope it's also touched your heart and your soul, and that you've taken the opportunity to really reflect, and you will even afterwards. You're going to go over the syllabus. If you've purchased the proceedings, you'll review it, you'll rehash it, you'll revisit it, and I hope that it sparks something inside of you, that you say, hey, I think that this is my calling. I want to come along on this journey and see where it's going to take me, because I feel I'm called to a higher purpose, as I know many of you are. And I would love the opportunity to be a lifeline with all of you for this work. I mean, the folks that do work with me, they know once you get me on board, I'm like a penny. I keep showing up. You can't get me. I'm like gum in your hair. You can't get away from me. We're like this. And that's what a real tribe is all about. But it's about mentoring. And so the Quantum Leap program, God bless the people that were our pilot for this program. They really helped inform Mel, who does the soul track, myself, who does the science track, on how to really be of service to people that are looking for that path. They're looking to become those leaders for change. They're looking to bring their NICUs to the level of NIDCAP nursery certification, right? I mean, that's where the gold standard is. And so how do you do that? You do it by the hard work of discovery, and there's some tears, and there's some frustration, but uncovering and unbundling the stories that you tell yourself that hold you back from being the true leader that you really are, that really lies within. The program, it runs over a 12-month period, front-loaded with lots of kind of intensive work, and then some masterminding and support over the remainder of the time period. And I'll be sharing more information in the folder. But I invite you to reach out. Reach out if this feels like it resonates with you. We're always looking for more change agents. And so I'll end on this. I'm from Massachusetts, the home of Dr. Seuss, one of the wisest people I know, next to Dr. Al's, of course. Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. And I'm sad to say now that 2019 Science and Soul is shortly going to become a memory. But before we really wrap it up, I want to go on to the next bit where we're going to award the amazing people who were so brave and courageous to share the work in the posters that you see before you. But I have to run to the back and get one other little thing for the poster people, because I didn't bring them up to the board. You guys okay? Okay, just shake your heads and just come all alive again. I'll be 1 second.